Hello, Lucy. Hello, Acadia. Here comes another Kingdom of Wrenly book. Kingdom of Wrenly. We see Prince Lucas on the left there. We see Clara. That's right. That's Clara on the right. And this is book 4. So it's one of the earlier books, but it's the one I found in the library this week. It's book 4 of The Witch's Curse. Let's get going on this. Let's see what the chapters are. I'm going to read the first half of this to you. I actually peeked ahead a little bit, and I saw that there's a witch, and she is in Bogperp, which is right there, Bogperp. So we'll find out about the witch of Bogperp later. And then the chapters that I'm going to read are Chapter 1, Rain, Rain, Go Away. Chapter 2, The Witch of Bogperp. Chapter 3, A Price to Pay. Chapter 4, Finger Pointing. Chapter 5, A Rainy Mission.
Hello?
Look at this. Who's this? It's Grandmommy. No, it's not the Witch of Bogperp. It's Grandmommy. It's not the Witch of Bogperp. What are you doing, Grandmommy?
I'm eating
Yeah, I can see you've got some food on you there. What are you eating?
walnut.
Walnuts. That sounds good.
Okay. Have you had snow yet?
I don't know. I think it's warmer there than it is here. It's very cold in New Jersey today, girls. Very cold.
Yeah. Good night.
Okay, we're going to have to bundle up. Okay, Grandmama's going back to her work, whatever that is. And I will get on with the chapters. Okay, let's see. Chapter 3, A Price to Pay. Chapter 4, Finger Pointing. Chapter 5, A Rainy Mission. Chapter 6, Erp. That's like when you have a burp in your stomach, you go Erp. Chapter 7, Eggshells. I probably won't get all the way to eggshells. It looks like there are 10 chapters, and I'll read maybe the first 5. Chapter 1, Rain, Rain, Go Away. Oh, I know what this is like when it's raining and you can't go outside to play and you're just stuck inside. When I was little, I liked to go outdoors and play. I know you girls often play inside, but my mama always told us to go outside and play, so that's what we did. Heavy rain pelted the windows in Prince Lucas's turret bedroom. This is a turret here. It had rained for 6 days, and Lucas had grown bored. He had read every book he owned. He had played at least 100 games of checkers and backgammon. He had draped blankets over the tables in the playroom and called it Fort Wrenly. He even taught Ruskin, his pet scarlet dragon, a few new tricks. Is this rain ever going to stop? Lucas wondered. He looked out the window and sighed. Lucas sighed too. Ruskin sighed too. If Lucas was bored, Ruskin was bored. He's a loyal pet. Looking out the window there, hoping that it'll stop raining. The storm had been fun at first. Lucas and his best friend Clara had made a mudslide on the hill behind the castle. That sounds like fun. They slid down the hill until the grass had worn off. They swooshed down the muddy slide again and again, tearing holes in their trousers and bloomers. See, they're sliding down the hill. You can see them in the picture. Wash up, Clara's mother, Anna Gills, had cried as she tossed 2 bars of soap out the back door. No tracking mud into the castle. Lucas and Clara had each picked up a bar and squeezed it. The soap shot out of their fist and landed in a puddle. They squealed with laughter. Then they rubbed the soap on their hair and clothes and rinsed off in the rain. But day after day, the rain kept coming. Water rushed down the main road like a river. Some of the villagers' homes had flooded. Others had leaky roofs. Clara hadn't come over to play in days. Queen Tasha and King Caleb had grown worried about all the rain. They were talking about it when Lucas and Ruskin entered the throne room. I've never seen so much water, the queen declared. We haven't had this much rain in 1 year, let alone in 1 summer, said the king. The farmers will lose their crops if it doesn't stop. Does that mean we'll run out of food? Asked Lucas. Of course not, said the king, though he wasn't really sure. It sounds bad. He ran his hand over his blonde hair. Something's not right. Maybe it's a spell, Lucas said. No sooner had he spoken those words when lightning cracked. Kaboom! Thunder rattled in the castle windows. Ruskin yelped and hid under the king's throne. Perhaps you're right, the king said as he stroked his chin thoughtfully. But who would do such a thing? Chapter 2, The Witch of Bogperp. That's the name of the chapter. The royal trumpets trilled. The king and queen looked at each other in surprise. Who could be at the door on a day like this? Questioned the king. Stefan, one of the king's men, entered the room. Your Majesty, the witch of Bogperp wishes to see you, he said as he bowed slightly. The king frowned. He hadn't seen the witch of Bogperp in years, and for good reason. She used to be the king's advisor, and although she had meant well, she had made a lot of terrible mistakes. One time, the witch had offered to make the king's apples the sweetest in the entire kingdom. The king loved apples and gave his permission. The witch sprinkled magical plant food on the trees, but instead of making delicious apples, the trees withered and died. Another time, the king had wanted a sweet, cuddly kitten. The witch brought him a beautiful white kitten with golden eyes. Look at that. The cat hissed and spat whenever it saw the king. To make matters worse, it disobeyed all the rules. The king named the cat Mischief because she always got into trouble. She knocked over the queen's perfume collection and smashed all the bottles. Then she fell down the garderobe, which is the palace toilet, and was flushed into the moat. Stefan had to fish her out and give her a bath. And that wasn't enough. The witch had given the king a special blonde tonic to cover a few gray hairs. But instead of covering the gray, it made his hair fall out. Luckily, the king's hair had grown back, but his friendship with the witch had not. She was no longer welcome at the castle, nor anywhere else on the castle grounds. She had been banished to her treehouse in Bogperp. Yet there she was, knocking at the door. There's a treehouse. See it? Treehouse up above there. The king was about to send the witch away when the queen said, Perhaps she's changed, Caleb. Let's hear what she has to say. The king sighed. Very well, he said. Send her in. Stefan presented the witch of Bogperp to the king and queen. Ruskin took one look at the witch and scampered behind Lucas. Lucas remembered her slightly from the days when she worked at the palace. The witch had a short, stubby body, a large, hooked nose, and elfish ears. Here you are. There's the witch. Let me put this up a little bit so you can see better. That's the witch of Bogperp. Maybe she's going to help me now. Let's see. She wore a black cloak and had wet, pointy leather shoes on her feet. A bonnet with a tail and a tassel sat on top of her scraggly black hair, and where her right eye should have been, the witch had a glass eye. Sometimes it rolled around in the socket when she spoke. Oh boy, that'd give me the creeps. Lucas could never quite tell where she was looking. It made him uneasy. To top it off, she had a black raven perched on top of her walking stick. That's a bird. I gotta sneeze. Excuse me, girls. That's a black raven. She's kind of a spooky looking girl, but maybe the witch still means well. We'll see. What brings you to the castle, Tilda? Oh, that's her name, Tilda, asked the king in a calm but not so friendly tone. The witch of Bogperp smiled, revealing a missing tooth on one side. She bowed slightly. I have come to mend my ways, Your Majesty. Mend my ways. That means she's come to try to make up for bad things that she did before and try to do better. Chapter 3, a price to pay. A price to pay. And how do you plan to mend your ways? Asked the king. A crooked smile swept over the witch's face as lightning flashed outside the throne room windows. Why, I can put an end to all this rain, she said sweetly. I'm not sure I trust the witch of Bogport. Seems like she might be a little bit conniving to me. That means she's not really saying what she means. She might be lying a little bit, but we'll see. I'm going to keep an open mind. Maybe she is going to be a better witch now. So she says, I can put an end to all this rain. Thunder boomed and rumbled around the castle. King Caleb looked at the witch suspiciously. See, he's suspicious too. And what do you know about the rain? He asked. I know it's a curse, said the witch. And the king leaned back in his throne. And what do you want to do about it? He asked. The witch's glass eye bulged in its socket. I don't want to do anything, she said. I like the rain, but if never-ending rain isn't good for your kingdom, I may be able to help. The king desperately needed help. He had no idea how to stop the rain, and the witch knew it. He couldn't allow the kingdom's crops to be ruined. I suppose I will have to accept your offer, said the king. Of course you will, said the witch, excuse me, let me start this sentence over again. I got a little bit tongue-tied. Does that ever happen to you? You're reading something and you get your words mixed up when you're reading? Let's start over again. Of course you will, said the witch, who now knew that she, not the king, had the power. But there will be a small price to pay. Usually this is where the witch says that they have to give her their firstborn child, but it's too late for that since Lucas is already born, so maybe that's not going to happen. She says there's a small price to pay. So let's see what it is. The king gripped the arms of his throne and leaned forward. And what is your price? I only require 3 things, said the witch, and she held up a bony finger for each. A cauldron made of gold. This is a cauldron. That's something that you heat water in. A cauldron, and witches use it particularly. A cauldron made of gold, your bejeweled family ring with the royal crest, and the queen's diamond and emerald scepter. So those are the 3 things. See, the cauldron's in the middle there. This is the ring, the family ring with jewels on it, and this is the scepter. The king's jaw dropped. Such a high price, he cried. My ring and the queen's scepter are sacred symbols of our right to rule Wrenly. We cannot part with them. Very well, said the witch. Then your kingdom will drown and your people will suffer. Boy, she doesn't seem like such a nice witch to me. The king hung his head. He knew there was no other way to save his kingdom. He felt helpless. Then the queen gently laid her hand on her husband's knee. The queen, this is Queen Tasha, she says, I will pay the price. The king looked at his wife. He gained courage from her words. And I will give you my ring, said the king. I think they're making a mistake here. The witch rubbed her hands together greedily. Ruskin growled and Lucas pulled him close. And what about the golden cauldron? Asked the witch. I'll have the goldsmith forge one without delay, said the king. We'll deliver everything to your home in Bogport. The old woman cackled. Her black cloak swirled as she disappeared out the door. Her raven followed behind. Chapter 4, Finger Pointing. How could you? Lucas cried. What choice did I have? Asked the king. You didn't have to promise your king and scepter, said Lucas. We could have found another way. Some matters require the help of witches and wizards, the king said. and some matters are caused by witches and wizards, Lucas argued. Wow, Lucas is standing up to the king, saying, you made a mistake. It might have been the queen, the witch that was causing all this, and now you're giving up your signs of authority to rule. What are you suggesting? Asked the king. Lucas put his hands on his hips. I think I know who's behind the curse, he said. You do? Questioned the king. And who might that be? It's Grom, said Lucas, folding his arms. The king rolled his eyes. Why would Grom do such a thing, he asked. Because he's always in a bad mood, said Lucas. This must be Grom over here on the right. Not a good reason, said the king. And he doesn't have any friends except his brother. His brother Andre, Lucas went on, and he locks himself in his tower on Hobbsgrove all day so that no one can see what he's doing. So he's at Hobbsgrove. He's one of the wizards. Grom and Andre are brothers, and Grom is the bad one. That's what Lucas says. Wizards like privacy, said the king. I'll bet he wants to take over the kingdom, said Lucas. That's ridiculous, the king said. Then why did he want Ruskin's shells after he was hatched? Okay, so Lucas is saying that after Ruskin came out of his shell, I guess dragons are born in eggs, that Grom wanted the shells. Maybe they had magical powers. So that's what Lucas wants to know. Everyone knows scarlet dragon shells have the strongest magical powers in the kingdom. He just wanted them for his potions, said the king. Any wizard would want scarlet dragon shells. Lucas sighed. I don't trust him. Grom may not be the most fun-loving wizard, said the king, but he's always done things to help the kingdom. So the king is defending Grom, even though Lucas suspects him. And be careful about blaming him for something he may not have done, said the queen. You must have all of the facts first. Lucas knew better than to argue with his parents, but he was sure that Grom was behind the curse. I'll just have to prove it, he thought, but I'll need help. Father, may I go over to Clara's house? Asked Lucas. I can't stand being cooped up in this castle any longer. No, the king said firmly. But Father, it's not very far, Lucas pleaded, and I'll take Ruskin with me. Perhaps it would be a good idea for Lucas to check in on the Gillses, said the queen. I'd like to know how they're faring in the storm. May I, Father? Begged Lucas. Please? The king threw his hands in the air. How am I supposed to rule a kingdom when I can't even seem to rule my own family? He said. That's funny. The queen laughed. We promised to keep that a secret, she said. See, this happens sometime with you. You ask Mama something and she says, I don't think so. But then your dad says, it should be all right. And they don't immediately agree. That happens sometimes. They just want what's best for you. And the queen and king want what is best for Lucas. Then Lucas grabbed his cloak, that's like a coat he's wearing, and he and Ruskin scampered to the stables. Okay, chapter 5. This is the last chapter I'm going to read on this video. There we see Lucas on his trusty horse Ivan, and there's his scarlet dragon, Ruskin, sitting in front of him. You see that on the horse there? Okay. Lucas saddled his horse Ivan and raced through the rushing water to Clara's. Ruskin clung tightly to Ivan's mane. Rain splattered their faces as they galloped along. Clara's family lived above her father's bakery, the Daily Bread. Lucas pulled back the reins in front of the bakery. So you pull back on the reins when you want the horse to stop. That's reins, R-E-I-N-S. See, there's a word right there. R-E-I-N-S, the reins. That's different than the rain, like water that falls. That's R-A-I-N. The reins on a horse are R-E-I-N-S. Rainwater had almost reached the top of the first step. Lucas hitched Ivan to a post under the eaves. Then he jangled the bells on the door. Clara's father, Owen Gills, thumped down the stairs and answered the door. Lucas, he cried, what on earth are you doing out in this weather? I came to see Clara, Lucas said. Come in, said Owen. Clara's family had stayed safe and well in the storm, but they too had grown worried. If this rain keeps up, the bakery will soon be filled with water, said Anna. This must be Anna Gills, who's Clara's mother down there. And if the crops are destroyed, there'll be no wheat for our bread, added Owen. Lucas reassured Clara's parents that the king was working on the problem. Then Lucas, Clara, and Ruskin went to Clara's room. Lucas told Clara about the witch's visit, the curse, and the price his parents agreed to pay to undo the curse. He also told Clara that he thought Grom was the one behind it all. How can we prove it? Asked Clara. We need to talk to the witch of Bogperp, Lucas said. She seems to know the most about the curse. So what are we waiting for? Said Clara. Then she asked for permission to go out for a quick ride with Lucas. Okay, but be back before dark, said Clara's father. We will, promised Clara. And they headed out on their rainy mission. What's Ruskin doing there? He's playing with a frog. Okay, this is where we're going to pick up on the next video with chapter 6. They're out on their horses. They're going to Bogperp to talk to the witch. That's it for right now, girls. I will talk to you a little bit later. Bye-bye.